about. We're here at Winchester. We're here to talk to ex-Borough star Graeme Souness. Hey there, Graeme. Good afternoon. Long way to come. I hope it's worthwhile. How you doing? All right. When you left school, you moved south, joining Spurs. Why did you move south?
Well, I played for Scottish schoolboys, and we played England at White Hart Lane. And Dave Mackay had broken his leg for the second time, and he was watching the game. Well, I went to the same school as Dave Mackay, Bernie, so he obviously took more of an interest in how I shaped up in that game. And after that, I think I must have done all right. And after the game, he's recommended me to Bill Nicholson and invited me down there. And at that time, Tottenham were a big team. They were one of the best teams around. And I fancied getting out of Scotland. You know, I trained at that time, 15. I was training with Celtic, who they had their best team. They won a European Cup, and I'd gone through to Ibrox to talk to Dave White about the possibility of joining Glasgow Rangers. And I had a couple of other offers from teams in England, but I don't know. I think the minute from that first time I went to White Hart Lane when I played for the schoolboys, I had my heart set on going there. And I was delighted when they actually showed an interest.
Things didn't quite work out at White Hart Lane. What attracted you to Teesside?
Well, basically, I was 19 and I was telling Bill Nicholson I should be in the team all the time. There was Martin Peters, Alan Mullery, and Steve Perriman in the midfield for Tottenham. From 17 onwards, I was telling Bill Nicholson every Friday, why is my name not in the team sheet? I should be in the team. And in the end, he just got cheesed off with me. He could have sold me, I believe, to Oxford, was one of the teams in Millwall. And he told me later he wanted to sell me as far away from London as possible. And I just wanted to play first team football. And I have to admit, there was no real attraction about Middlesbrough at that time. Obviously, when I got there, I realised what a good place it was, how the people were, and how much, in the end, I really enjoyed it there.
How was your relationship with Big Jack Chapman? You know, I believe Jack questioned your attitude.
I think, you know, like a lot of youngsters, maybe I'd had too much too soon. You know, I'd played for Scottish schoolboys, I'd gone to Tottenham, which was a big glamorous club, lived in London, and at 19 go to Middlesbrough. And I think he quite correctly, I know quite correctly, hit me on the head more than once and reminded me what professional football was all about. Simple things like, you know, you don't just play when you have the ball. You're a team member. And of course how you live your life away from the football. And I think in all those areas he helped me. Well, not so much helped me, he just told you it was black and white, it's this way or it's Jack's way. And in the end, if you wanted to stay there and be part of what he was doing, it was Jack's way. And I had no problem with that. I think Jack liked me. I think, you know, once I buckled down and worked hard, I think we had a good relationship. But in the early days, he did hammer me. I say in the early, he hammered me all the time, but in an obvious, how can I put it, in a way that you would your son. And I had a good relationship with him. I had great admiration for him because obviously that was a very important time in my development.
The 1973-74 season was one of Borough's top seasons. What were the highlights?
It was great times because I was only young, and you know the players there were all great mates, but we got on famously. You know, in any team you're not going to get 15, 16 guys that all love each other, but we certainly were together as a unit when it mattered. And it was a smashing time to be there. You know, it was just all happening. Jack was attracting enormous attention from the national media. You know, it wasn't just localised in the North East. He was a big name throughout England, and we got a lot of media attention. And I think, you know, me included, we all benefited from that, from Jack's fame. And it was a good time to be at Middlesbrough. The supporters were seeing something new. They were seeing a Middlesbrough team that was, you know, going out and winning nearly all the games they played in, and they enjoyed that as well. It was a good time to be around. It was a good time to play for Middlesbrough.
Were you a natural, or did you have to work at it?
If I say I was a natural, that sounds big-headed. But then if you go back, well, you're born with certain things. But I think I was fortunate. I was the youngest of three brothers. In our school, our house was a prefab, and it backed onto a school field. So every night,
You came a long way.
yeah, just a wee bit. And every night I was out with my brothers playing football, and of course I was playing with people a lot older than me all the time. So I think that dragged me on quicker. But I think I had a natural gift. I like to think I had a natural gift, and I think the most pleasing part is, and I don't think as many players can say it, but I actually feel I'd done as much as I could have done with what I was given. You know, I feel that I looked after myself after the Jack influence after, maybe going to Liverpool after that and learning other things. I actually felt that at the end of the day, when I was 35 or 36, when it was all over, I'd done as much with the body and the talent I had as I could have done. And I don't think there's many players can say that, Bernie. I think a lot of them would say, if only I'd worked harder, if only, been a bit more professional, if only I hadn't got tied up with the wrong people. And I think I'm one of the few people who can say that. I couldn't have done any better than I did.
Recently, you were voted Borough's #1 player of all time. How big an accolade was that?
Well, I believe that was by the. Yeah, of course. I think it was from the players, wasn't it? Well, that means everything, because supporters are not professionals. And there's things they would like in strikers that they might not see the good things in a defender. Does that make any sense? You might have a great goalkeeper, but because he's a great goalkeeper, he makes things look simple. And I think for your fellow professionals to say that about you, then it's ultimate, isn't it?
I believe you had a good relationship with Willie Madden. What were his qualities as a player on and off the field?
What was special about him? On the professional side, I think we spoke earlier about, Willie was a good professional. Willie was somebody who worked really hard at his game. He was the first one on the training. I know it's not cliche. First one on the training pitch, last one to leave. But that was Willie. That was Willie. And even in the early days, he had a dodgy knee. You had to keep dragging him off the training ground. But that was Willie. He always wanted to be doing that bit more. And he took that into the game with him. And I think in the games of football he played, he always wanted to be doing a bit more, helping his teammates, being the one that was leading the way. And that's what made him a good player. Apart from the natural ability he wanted to help other people, and he had a natural gift for that. He was a hell of a player, and again, even from a very early age, he had this problem. His knee wasn't right, wasn't 100%, and he still was the best player on the pitch 9 times out of 10 when we played in that season. And that made him a very special player. Then on the other side of things, he's a very special man, and I think he was my pal. We roomed together. I didn't start to room together with him in the beginning, but latterly we did. And he was my big pal at the club. And it's absolutely tragic what's happened to him.
You left Borough for Liverpool. Why did you leave Borough? And did you leave in a sour note?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Why was that?
Well, I knew that Liverpool wanted me. Liverpool were the best team around, and you had a real chance of winning things. It was neither money or that I was unhappy at Middlesbrough for any reason. The biggest concern I had in leaving Middlesbrough wasn't leaving Middlesbrough Football Club. It was leaving my landlady, Phoebe Haig, and the family I live with. And that was the biggest problem I had in leaving Middlesbrough. And that was the question that kept coming back to me. As much as I want to go to Liverpool and be part of the most successful team in Europe, as they were at the time and continued to be, I'm leaving a situation, an environment where I'm so happy. And that was the biggest decision I had to make in all of it.
And that is the sort of goal that the